Welcome, welcome, welcome. I've got a roll to share today. This is my cat, Amos, if you're new to my channel. Okay, let's see here. Today. Okay, sharing a roll of Kodak Double-X. I shot it about a stop or two below box speed. My camera was set to 640. Double-X is rated around 200, 250. The lens is a Leica Summicron 35mm version 1, the 8 element. Also called EE 8E. And for the developer, diluted Xtol 1:4, 85 degrees for 10.5 minutes. I agitated about once a minute. The camera was a Leica M6.58. The subject matter is just random shots around my house. I walked to the gym, which was like 15-minute walk from my house. Walked there and back, and that was the roll. So this all happened on February 23rd. In about an hour and a half, which sort of means I didn't work out for very long. I scanned with the Leica SL2S with the Sigma 70mm macro at 7.1, the Veloy EZ35, and my software is Capture One 21. Right, the things I'm going to comment on the most here are probably going to be the film and the lens, and maybe a little bit about the developer. Okay. Here, this is at 100%, and I'm going to go through these as I shot them. So here I'll zoom back out. I had some flare here. I didn't know what that was, thanks to some friends on the Leica Discord group. They helped me figure out that I was using a film retriever that was exposing my film to light. So I lost my first 2 frames here too. I mean, I wouldn't say I lost them, right? But that's what's going on here. This is an f2.5 shot. You know, he hangs out where I put my film in my camera. So often my first shot on the roll is of my cat. This was a miss. It was a focus miss. I will say that as much as I love my M6, and I even had a chance to swap it for an MP 0.58 this week, basically for about the same price as, I mean, it's like an even trade, and I kept my M6. I don't know, whatever. I missed this shot, right? It was an action shot. Let's just call it that. I still kind of like it. All right, Amos has moved over to the window. You know, I just like when the light comes in nicely into a room like this. It's kind of a gray day. I got my Pikachu down here. Not my Pikachu, but right. Amos's favorite spot is actually on Pikachu's tail right here. See right there? That's his favorite spot. This is f2.5. These aren't all going to be cat photos, but this is Goldie. She's waiting patiently. She wants in. You know, it's whenever I shoot cats, like it's always tempting to want them to look and to show their eyes, but I'm trying to get away from that a little bit and like catch some different expressions like this one. Now, this is really just more of a lens test. And I'm not being super careful with like getting my lines horizontal. Like this is just a pretty quick shot of a garage door. But, you know, if I follow any one line, like this top one right here, which may or may not actually be perfectly straight in real life, right? Takeaway on this is there's no distortion on this lens to worry about, which I already knew that, but I've been shooting my 35s recently, and so I just wanted to kind of log this one. These are edited, right? I kind of all photos are edited, right? But these are, you know, one thing that sort of hit me about this whole roll was like I scanned the whole roll in like under 15 minutes and applied edits pretty fast. I mean, the whole process took me under 15 minutes, and you know, sort of just love them. You know, I also shot some like Delta 100 this week with a more modern lens, and I'm having a hard time even wanting to go look at those photos because they're so less interesting than these. Back to this one for a second. I kind of wanted like this, like the way these limbs were coming, wrapping around this car, right? And how they were sort of parked underneath it. But I sort of like this composition a little better. I don't know, don't love either, but they're both okay. I've taken a lot of photos like this where I'm almost sort of bored with the shot. But for people who maybe don't live in the Pacific Northwest, right? These mighty trees that we have. You know, one thing that's striking about Double-X is how sharp it is. Right, it's I sort of think it's like if they didn't add the sharpness dye, I think Double-X is really almost a 400 speed film, but they have a sharpness dye in there that really matches well with sort of the type of sharpness you want in cinema black and white. And then the lens here is just really sharp. It's an incredibly sharp lens. This is, I think, f8. Here was an f2 shot, and I wanted to, or maybe it was, I don't know, maybe half a stop closed down. And I focused right here on this bush, right? I sort of wanted to create this, like, bring the bush into focus and let the background be out of focus. See how that renders? And I gotta say, it's freaking beautiful. You know, both the lens and the film sort of start to have a bit of a glowiness to them around, right, highlights like this window. Right, Double-X only gives you like 7-ish, maybe 8 stops of exposure before you start to hit a abrupt shoulder and you start to get that glowy look. especially wide open, the Leica lens has a glowiness to it as well. This, I think I did maybe f4 here because I wanted to make sure that all of this on the stone was going to be really sharp. But now I've kind of brought my background a little bit too much into focus. But still, like, let's go into 100% here. My negatives were, if anything, a little bit thin. This was one of the most underexposed shots I had. But I sort of wanted it to be like that, right? I really wanted to make sure I kept the tonal values here on these gravestones. Right, keep them on the straight line part of the curve. And then I sort of wanted to see, right, this kind of object in the background. It turned out how I imagined it. But and there's sort of, you kind of get lost here. I didn't have filters this day, so this flower sort of gets lost a little bit. Oh, this was one of my most underexposed shots. Yeah, I think it's because this is in the deep shade, and I also didn't want... I wanted to stop down a little bit because I wanted this path to really sort of be part of the photo. Right, it's like a walking path, and you go right by this gravestone right here that's kind of fallen off from 1880 to what? To 1909. Then you have these like roots coming up. Now I love this one. This one came straight out of this. I don't know that I did anything to it. Just I scanned it and this popped up. I was like, man, I love it. It's hard to say what I love, right? But just I love the sort of the high values, this glowy look. I think this is f2.5. I tend to f2 can sometimes be a little soft outside of center, so I sometimes stop down about half a stop to make sure I've got enough subject sharpness. But that's going to give plenty of right out of focus areas. Let's come in a little bit to 100%. Yeah, the flower showed up nicely even without any type of filtering. Just sort of, yeah, I like the composition, the way these two diagonals kind of cross each other and make an A frame. And the way the lettering across the top is so pronounced. Thank you, Mary Irons. Oh, this is a wide open f2, sort of to see in what, right on the no parking sign. You can kind of see that everything's sort of right, sort of a little bit blurry around the sides and. Right, if you come up here, right, this is not the Apo Summicron. Yeah, again, I like this sort of glowiness. You know, I like this out of focus stuff. That's like sometimes with older lenses, like this out of focus stuff can just really be distracting. But with this lens, it's often just really beautiful. And I love the shadows, right? It's like, now I do tend to kind of make sure I have a lot of black shadows in my photos. I edit that way. You know, I like finding these, like, you know, the side of this house and this old window with like kind of this old line across. I don't know what that was. And then I actually intentionally included these, like this modern house with the modern windows over here. Sort of like a, you know, subtle contrast to this house. And this is where the 0.58 finder is fun. This really helps you kind of see outside the frame and be a little more clever with compositions. Now I'm intentionally doing a flare shot here. I've taken a lot of photos of this tree, the smile you're on camera, the beware of dog, the warrant, like these flag. And I always sort of like the shot. I never love them. But this one I was just like, you know, like one of the hardest things about shooting with this lens is it has all sorts of flare things going on. And you have to kind of learn the lens. And even sometimes it's still random, right? I think, right, I wouldn't take this lens on if I was doing product photography and, you know, knew I couldn't have any flare in my pictures or something. Here I knew I was going to get flare. But, you know, and I walk around with like a Leica SL2S and my lenses attached, right, and study like when, you know, what kind of flare am I going to get when. It's not ugly. I don't think it is adding a lot to the photo, but I've taken a lot of pictures of this thing. Right, it's right on my walk to the gym, and this is maybe my favorite I've ever taken. I sort of just included the right things this time. I like that I kind of caught these rails a little bit. I like how kind of what I brought in. And I chose a good aperture too. I think I don't know if it was f4, maybe. I don't think 5.6, but maybe. That's at 100%. Look, top, TOP. I've been shooting a lot of HP5 and Tri-X, and I don't know. I just don't know if I haven't mastered those films yet, but I can't get anything like. I have yet to see a similar level of sharpness from those films yet. Yeah, I was caught by this shadow, this kind of, right, is that a limb? Whatever this thing is growing. A vine, right? And then just sort of all the tones and this reflection. So this is a white truck, right, in the sun. Right, here's at 100%. Now, why did I do the dilution on the Xtol? I just want to see the grain, right? I don't want to. I'm not ready to pump up the solvency yet. I want to let these photos be grainy. It's also why I'm doing the 85 degrees, right? It's like, let me see double-X grain before I start thinking I need to increase the amount of solvent effect. This is a graveyard, right? Of course. This grave is just like a big rock. I found that interesting, and you can kind of tell the direction of the sun, right? It's kind of it's a morning, but not that early in the morning. And there's a southern sun this direction, and I think I'm doing maybe f2.8. I wanted to do f2, but it was just a little too bright. You kind of see here, right? You get a little bit of right, see the shape on those. Yeah, maybe even be 2.8. I'm focused right here. Right, and this is a pretty bright spot here. Yeah, has a nice overall effect. Yeah, that's a bike lane on the road. I was just kind of getting all these lines, and I think I stopped down. This is, I think, even f8. Now, I took this photo because I was actually upset with this lady. And I knew it was going to happen. Look at this line of cars ready to turn. And, right, I have the walk. This is my walk. Right, I could walk. Look at her. She's just ready to hit me. She knows I'm there. She's just like, no, not seeing you, not acknowledging them, about to run you over. Now, I've known about this van for a while, and I've always wanted to take a picture of it. And today was the day. I tried once with another camera and lens, and it just didn't come out. But I like the ones I got today. So it's not, one, there's this van, and then there's this Volkswagen Bug. And look at the incline that they're parked on. And they've been there for a while. Look what's growing on this side. And that's not even the north side. It looks like, oh, that's the north side. No. It's awesome. This Grateful Dead sticker. That van probably had some fun adventures in that van, somebody. Oh, and I wanted to show, right? I left this post in here really to show what's vertical. Right. And now here I've come up to the side of it. I'm still trying to figure out why I love Double-X so much. Right? I think it is partly because you hit the toe and you hit the shoulder much sooner than you do with like Tri-X or HP5. And there's something about like the shadows and the tones of the toe that, right, when you kind of underexpose a little bit and push the film a little bit, it's sort of a beautiful thing. And then you do have, right, you've got grain and you have like a lack of super fine detail, but yet you've got a lot of sharpness. Yeah, came around to their side, and I sort of wanted, right, this kind of all this stuff on the left side, right, to create a big shadow over here. I like this one too. I have a hard time picking out of the three. I think if I might come back and bring out these cinder blocks a little more, maybe a little more of this. Might lighten a little bit of that. Now, I just liked how this, I need to come, look, I got a little spot I need to clean up. I liked the shadow. The shadow is what really caught me at first. That was, I would say for about every photo I take, there's one that I don't take, right? I'll compose, I'll be ready to take it, and I'll sit there and think about it, and I'll say, nope. And this was one I was about to not take, but the shadow, I really liked how that shadow was coming out. And then also just the kind of the texture in the sky. Although I do have some sort of kind of see some, I don't know, some lines in there. I don't know what that is. Might look at that negative. Might come back and lighten the foreground a little bit. And now this tree on the left, I wish that tree on the left, I couldn't decide how much I wanted to include the tree. I don't know. I might walk back by this spot, see if I can't get a better version of that. Now here I'm walking down the stairs, and I kind of like the way the sun was hitting these flowers. But look at me. See this right here? This is probably my finger. I'm sort of bad at that. I'd say once every roll or two I end up with my finger in the corner. I don't know that I'll ever get a picture in this spot that I'll love, but I sort of like it as a place to do some testing. I focused on the stars. God, look at that. Look at that. And I think is it going to be 2.8? Is it 4? I can't remember. Sort of looks a little stopped down. I sort of like this photo better. Right, I think I'm gonna have to find a different. It's impressive that, like, look at this. I don't know if that's it, but right, this is a 35 millimeter that I would basically be cropping, right, on the short, turning the short side of the film is the long side, and man. I don't love the photo, but I'm blown away with the lens and the film. Man. Right, and this is this is definitely hitting the shoulder on the film up here. Well, yeah, I don't know. All right, moving on. Another one that's sort of a bland photo, but it does make for a good test shot. think I'm 5.6 on the aperture. Right, 5.6 and an 8, plenty of sharpness, edge to edge. This is sort of an unusual shot because this is really bright, right? This is in a deep shadow on the north side of the tree, and I metered for down here. I metered for this, knowing that this was going to blow out, basically. But this combination of like the interesting tree and this gravestone that's right up against it and the rose, and then sort of letting some of these things come into the background. I do wonder, I might crop in, might end up cropping in something more like that. Not quite that much, but there's a little bit too much of this high value ground in the front. This is just an f8 test shot, basically. And it wasn't like super sunny. It was sort of a little bit of softness to the light. Now here I am wide open. This is f2, right? It does have it wide open. It has a strong vignetting, right? You can see how much the center here has a lot more exposure. Now also I chose a leaf that had quite a bit of sun on it, but still the effect is mostly the lens here, and you kind of see what these wide open, what sort of happens to these corners. And then you can see that wide open, it is sharp, but not like super duper sharp, right? And you get a little bit of the Leica glow on those lenses, not on those lenses, those leaves / flare. And then I did another one right after it stopped down, just to get so wide open, stop down. Do it one more time. Wide open, stop down. And you really, if that's not the look you're going for, like just a little bit of stopping down, like not even a whole stop, basically brings an end to the glowy center. I don't know what other people think of this, but I like it a lot. I like how this, I don't even know what you call this thing, a bush. I like all these strands, the way they come rivering down the rock. There's kind of this light that comes over the rock like that, and then sort of these patterns in the rock, some leaves, yeah. This is one of my favorite. And here I'm back at the house, and I know I want to develop this. So I'm just sort of getting desperate for shots. But I sort of saw like the geometry of this come together with the ball in the middle. This puddle ended up sort of becoming more of a thing than I anticipated, but whatever. Yeah, But yeah, if you can see, I focus on the ball. Now, I like this one. I like it because it gives that feeling, right, of the cat's wanting to go out. Lewis is over here, right? And I also like how the shape of his ears got highlighted there. And Goldie's expression, right, which is where I focused, is like, hey, let me out. I wonder about a crop here. You know, I wish maybe the croc wasn't in the photo. What do I have? Do I have a little air bubble over here? Well, it sort of looks like a little bit of an air bubble. That's easy to edit out. Air bell. I couldn't decide if I wanted her looking towards me or away. I think I do like the one where she's looking at me. The light came across her face nicely. Oh, I know what this isn't an air bell. This is I accidentally copied over the healing tool onto this photo. Okay, I'll go fix that later. And the clue was I saw it up here too. That's sometimes when you do batch editing, you end up accidentally carrying over a heal layer, or I do. Again, I'm just at the end of the roll trying to finish it. I bulk loaded this, so I didn't know if I was going to have 36 or 40. Ended up with about 40 frames. But yeah, I was trying to find my own. I don't have a lot of self-portraits, so I was trying to find. Somehow I thought I saw myself in here. I think this is me. A little too lost. I'll call this my self-portrait. Yeah, the light coming across here. This is one that is more just a photo for me. This clock is important to me. I've taught my kids how to read a clock, and that's the clock. So one of those, like, I know it won't be there for much longer, so I wanted to capture it. And then I like these little photos where, right, I'm catching signs of my family. Right, this is my son Ellery. It's his little book he made in craft class, and here's his little point and shoot Fuji camera, disposable, right? And then here are their Crocs for going outside. Right, these little photos that I'll cherish more in a decade. But man, I mean, if you just showed this, it's amazing how much Double-X has a look to it, especially in like these shadows. Right, I gotta continue to figure it out. It's like, yeah. This I figured was just a tough shot, right? I got the sun is coming. The light source is up here through a window, coming down the stairway, and like, I wanted to include the banister, right? More of just like how challenging this shot is, and just sort of what would it look like. There is maybe a tiny bit of flare coming in, and I think this is an f4 shot. Pictures of my own pictures, right? But it's kind of capturing the way the light comes down and the artwork that my kids make. And then here's my last shot, right? You can tell I bulk loaded this because my last frame is always, right? This is how much of my last frame I mess up because I bulk load in daylight. But so that brings me to the end. If you're looking for a book to read, I do recommend this one here. Lewis Mumford, Technics and Civilization. The first 100 pages might take a long time to finish, but there may not be a better 100 pages to read. Okay, take care.